We'll have now item number 2, roll call. I'm Walt Wiley. Go ahead, Rick.
Rick Birchloff.
Jenny Stroop.
Deb McSherry.
Patrick Steyer.
We'd like to welcome you here this evening. Before we go to the approval of the August 21st, 2024 agenda, we're going to move the public comments where it typically is item number 6, and then follow everything down from there. So the informational item will be item number 7. I need a motion.
I make a motion to move public comments after number 5 and before number 7.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Also, we'd like to have a motion on the approval of the July 17th, 2024 minutes. There were some minor changes that we did. They'll be followed up and they'll be posted.
I make a motion to accept with those minor changes.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. We'll now go to Public Safety, the CAL FIRE, CHP, and Placer County Sheriff's Office, if they're available. We must have been really safe last month. Okay, so we'll move forward from there, and we'll go to the public comments. So the public comments would be focused not on the informational item today. It would be any other items that might have come up since our last meeting or that you would like to address. Please keep your statements to 2 minutes. Don't make us be the police. When you hear the beep, politely cut it off. Thank you.
I will do that. I always hand you a letter. I'll kind of synopsize what it's about. It's about the draft EIR for the ranch and many of the errors that I've found within it. And one of the biggest ones that really concerns me is the fact that they are stating that there's no agriculture on the north side of Vineyard, and that after they build these houses, if we decide to have agriculture, we're going to be responsible for the buffer zone. So in other words, they're telling us that if we want to do what our land is zoned to do, then we're going to have a buffer zone somehow between us and this development, which obviously doesn't work, which sounds to me like a way to get us to get rid of our animals, which obviously is not something that's going to happen. There's many what I considered errors in the draft EIR, and if you guys get a chance to read through the letter, I'm hoping that maybe the MAC can send a letter of opinion on the draft EIR before the closing time on Friday. And that's really what I had to say. I'm just going to cut it off there. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Laura. Hello? Is it,
Yes.
okay.
Gotcha.
Sorry, I'm Laura Trout. I kind of wanted to ask about, we had discussed, I believe, in the June meeting about getting status updates, and I didn't see anything, and I don't know if it's in anybody's report or not. I would like to request just a brief synopsis in future meetings with at least the name and location of each development that's underway, who the developer is, and I asked for the name and the location because I'm lived here for a long time, but I don't know all the different areas, so somebody might refer to a winery or something. I don't know what that means, so if it said the winery at the corner of Vineyard and Cucuriolo, I'd be able to figure it out. I'd also like to know an update or status on the number of units within the development, both the McMansions, as well as any affordable or moderate or other level of housing that they're supposed to meet. Sorry, I'm having trouble breathing today. And whether or not they're still intend to comply with those commitments. I would specifically like to know if they are not going to be in compliance, what kind of escape fees they're paying, because frankly, they're woefully insufficient. I'd also like to know in the new developments if, because I notice in some of the maps and things I'm looking at, I see development in phases, and I'm sorry, I don't know my time. I see development in phases, some are gated, some aren't. I'd like to know within each of those phases if there are park areas that are accessible to residents of Dry Creek, and how, if those are going to be available. And, sorry, I forgot the last thing. Affordably filtered name current status. Oh, I believe in the March, it might have been April though, I believe it was the Board of Supervisors meeting, there was comments made, and I believe a specific, some kind of a motion asking for a review of the in lieu fees. I believe that supervisor that made the motion indicated that they recognized that they were substantially lower than most of the rest of the state. I'd like to know if maybe somebody can just get back to us next time or post it on a future calendar. Oh man, sorry, I forgot where I was.
That's okay. Thank you.
Sorry.
Hi everyone, my name is Ryan Haynes and I live here in Dry Creek. I want to start off by first of all saying thank you to Landon. Is Landon in the house? Not right now. Oh, poor guy. Well, never mind. I'm just kidding. No, I wish if he was, I would say, and thank you to Supervisor Gordon and the staff for getting the video services up now to record our MAC meetings. It's been a really helpful way for our community to stay engaged, and I think that the time and expense to do that is money well spent to keep everybody up to speed, especially given how many things are happening in our area. And thank you all as well, esteemed MAC members, for just sharing with us your hearts and your concerns for the area. We feel like we're on the same page and appreciate you sacrifice what you guys do. I have just one quick comment regarding the ranch, which is right here, the Winton property, which is about to be finishing the draft EIR process. We made a mistake on the Stop the Rezone Madness page. Well, I made a mistake. And the deadline for the comments about the draft EIR are Monday. And so first of all, please get your letters in about that by Monday. That's the 26th. And then we have some sample letters as well. If anyone needs a sample letter and you're not on the Facebook page, you can come see me tonight if you want to see some of the examples of things we're concerned about. But very briefly, my main concern I see is in section 15-3, it talks about the transportation and public services and the school impact. The ranch will be adding 318 students. That's how many students they would generate by the 446 homes. And the ranch plus the Creekview Ranch right across the creek, they're going to be adding 426 students. That's how much it generates for our K through 8 school right here, Creekview Ranch. And those two developments alone would put us over capacity. And if you take the cumulative impact of all 9 of the new developments proposed and underway in Dry Creek, those things with the students generated per household puts our school district, specifically our school here, Creekview Ranch, at 1,141 students over capacity. The draft EIR concluded that there are less than significant impacts for the ranch and that no mitigation is required. So I only say that there's a concern because the continued habit of just simply looking at isolated projects and not the cumulative impact is something we continually see as a problem. And at the county level and as we deal with it here at the MAC, we'd like to see the cumulative impact discussed because we don't believe that these items should be taken à la carte. They should be taken as a whole, because a overcrowded school of that overcapacity school, 1,141. Our current capacity is 800, so it more than doubles the capacity of the school. When these things are eventually built out, I see that to be a pretty major concern. And I'm also running for school board this fall, so I'm going to fix it on both ends.
Thank you. Next up.
I always have to put in something. Laura Bullard, longtime resident of this area. One of the things I did want to mention that keeps getting said over and over, and I want to remind you guys also, is the documentation in regards to we keep getting poo-pooed that, oh, our community plan doesn't matter. If you actually look, we have information that actually shows in the general plan that it says community plans will take precedence in land use and also in traffic mitigation, okay? So land use and traffic mitigation, and that where land has been specifically selected, for example, ours has been to maintain the agricultural component or whatever of this area, that does take precedence over the general plan. So I will be sending that to y'all.
Hi, I had planned for 3 minutes, but I'll make it 2. Harry White, Sierra Club, and California Native Plant Society. Okay, I'll look at my marked up notes. This is relevant to all the new developments. I believe the new developments in West Placer have the potential to achieve a win-win-win scenario. That is, there is an opportunity to design and build housing that Placer County needs, win number 1. Have the developer get a return on their investment, win number 2, and build natural landscaping into the development that benefits nature, win number 3. These successes can be achieved by having a landscaping plan and plant palette that have California native plants, especially locally native plants, chosen for both their attractiveness and ecological value. So, Placer County Conservation Plan, the county shall encourage the planting of native trees, shrubs, and grasslands. And also the Dry Creek West Placer Community Plan for landscaping, which is part of site development where original vegetation has been removed or where additional plantings are included. The emphasis should be on drought-tolerant native species where possible. The developer should use a plant palette which will act as an effective mitigation to minimize the impact of the project to the ecology of West Placer County. Locally native trees and shrubs should be used in at least 70% of the plantings to protect and enhance the natural features of the area. And the California Native Plant Society and other groups can provide extensive information on how to achieve these objectives. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hello there, I'm Dean Shanklin. First of all, I just wanted to thank Placer County Sheriff's Office for what they did the other day during the bomb scare at this school. I thought it was managed very well, and they did the best they could to keep our kids, my grandchildren, safe. So I just wanted to reach out. There's ears in here from Placer County. I wanted to say thank you. Coming out of my community, I come out of Morgan Greens, right there off of Jimmy Way in Cucuriolo. And in the morning time, I can't pull out of my community because the traffic is so backed up from the school. That's the way it is now, and I don't have a problem with that as it is now. And I don't want my roads widened. I don't want to accommodate the traffic by widening roads. I want to accommodate the community to make it meet what the road conditions are. And with all these different developments coming, all these traffic studies done independently of each other, I don't feel they're making an adequate calculation on how much traffic is coming through that area at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and 8 o'clock in the morning. It's already ridiculous, and you're going to double it. So I just wanted to make sure my voice was heard on that. Thanks.
My name is Susan Yomogida, Yomogida. I live on Oak Avenue. I have 2 homes there, one that I grew up in, one that's my grandparents'. We call it Alpha and Beta House. I've lived here most of my life. Went to high school with Laura over there and elementary school here at Dry Creek, well, Old Dry Creek. So let's look at things that are happening. Right now in the plans are 2,000 to 3,000 new homes in Dry Creek. We still have 1 fire station. We have 2 full-time firefighters, 1 more coming according to Bonnie last meeting. We have 1 sheriff's substation, which the sheriff deputy told me last meeting would be moving because they're building they have a new location in Rockland that's so lovely, so they're going to centralize the sheriff's substations, so we won't have a sheriff's substation here in our community anymore. Our garbage pickup comes from Auburn. We're on wells that are getting impacted. I have to call a well guy again because apparently I have to lower one. And we have septic systems. What we have is 1 K through 8th grade school that I pay 4 taxes to the school district already. I will not support another school bond tax for another school because the last bond was supposed to improve Old Dry Creek School, which was used instead to build this building. So, where are we at now? I implore you to uphold our community plan. Any new developments need to abide by the community plan. Thank you to Sierra Club for being here, but it should have also said, please preserve our native oak trees. Come to my house, you'll see early in the morning, the roosting wild turkeys jump down, and in the evening, go back. Preserve our properties, preserve our community.
Thank you. Any other public comments at this time? I did notice the sheriff was able to come. Do you have time? Okay, that'd be great. While he's working his way to the front here, they're glad to see Phil here because I'm curious when the last time we have done a comprehensive traffic study for this area, especially with the planned communities that are coming in. So that was one thing that I'd like to get on the public comment, and Phil, if you could follow up on that sometime. Thank you. Here you go.
Try it again. I'm Sergeant Welsh with the Sheriff's Office. I'm the supervisor of the Youth and Community Outreach section. So with the gentleman that got up that was talking about the Dry Creek situation, I can go over that a little bit. It's still a pending investigation. So I'm the school resource officer supervisor as well. I was out there that day. Bomb threats to schools are, I'm sure, nationally up as a trend, right? A lot more than when most of us in the room were in school. There's not a whole lot we can do about the increase in it from a law enforcement perspective. I think that's a huge issue. Mental health, a lot of things go into it, right? We respond the best way that we know how to. About a year ago, we got a authorization for a bomb sniffing dog. The deputy, his primary duty is working in this area. It just happens to be, he could be assigned to the Auburn beat, but he just happens to be out here. So that kind of was helpful. He knew the campus really well. He breaks his dog here, so he takes him and lets him relieve himself on the campus. So the dog's familiar with the campus. Happened to be that day that we had 3 additional bomb dogs from Sacramento that were training with our guy and the trainer. So they were quick to respond. We have a very good federally certified EOD team. They all came out with their robots and their big truck and all the bells and whistles to figure this situation out the best that we could. I will say what I've said before, but the Dry Creek School District was amazing. They had pre-planned these things. We pre-planned situations like this with them about just over a year ago, and we did a video for another company called DTAC DPrep, I'm sorry, that they contracted with. So they had it all planned out. They had vests. We knew who all of them were. We had a situation like this in another school district last year, and they didn't do anything wrong at the other school district, but this one was just the best at dealing with it. I know that doesn't alleviate the concerns of all the parents. You want to know the most information that you can. I'm sure you can understand we can't give out that information because your ears are the same ears as somebody that could be wanting to do harm. So we just can't put it out to the public. So I know that's frustrating from a parent perspective, but we do the best that we can. Any questions about that? Yes, sir.
Did you get the guy?
We made an arrest that day, yes. And I can't tell you anything about it. So, and the investigation's still pending, and we're not allowed to identify the person responsible. So, did that answer your question the best that I can? There are certain things that I'm precluded from telling you because of the law. So, okay. Anything else for that? Okay. I'll go into the max stats real quick. So this last month time frame was July 1st to July 31st. We had 236 incidents within this MAC area, 25 reports taken, 12 transient related activity, 6 arrests, there's 18 cited, let me see here, 15 cited, citations issued, and 29 suspicious activity calls, 21 disturbance calls, 12 alarm calls, and 54 traffic stops. So we hear your concerns. We're doing our part to increase our presence and pay attention to traffic problems in the area. I just spoke with the CHP officer that usually speaks at your MAC meeting. Unfortunately, she's out today for, she's been off for a little while. I'll let her share why, but we partner with them a lot. I can also say that they came out and helped us with the Dry Creek situation too. All law enforcement bands together when there's a big situation like this to make sure that, so the roadway got crowded with parents. We had them do some traffic control for us, so they were great partners in it as well. Was there anything else?
Substation.
Okay, yeah, so it's correct that the Rockland substation is in the works. It is incorrect that we don't have a presence out here. We have the same presence that we did before. The substation is closer to you now than it was before. Your cars that patrol this area come out of the Loomis substation right now. Rockland's closer than Loomis, so they will be closer to you. And the county understands that there's growth in West Placer. The county's moving a lot of services down towards this area or as close to it as we can. We looked everywhere to the county line, to Sutter County, Sacramento County. There are certain places that are suitable to be police stations and certain places that aren't. So I think that we'll better serve you by moving there. I see an increase in presence coming out here. We talk about it all the time at our command meetings and strategic planning meetings that we go to. So does that answer questions for that? But yes, it is in Rockland, in the city of Rockland, off of Sunset. So, yes, sir.
In response to your traffic citations, I'd have to say that Kathy and I live at Eva Lane and Vineyard Road. A week ago, sheriff's vehicle pulls in there, backs up, sits there. And Kathy says, well, that's what they're doing there.
Yeah.
Speeder came through the stop sign right there. He was on it.
He found out what they were doing, huh?
Came back, same thing. Car going the other way, right on.
Right.
So thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
You don't
Yeah.
see the highway patrol out there. There was a motorcycle went by twice in the last week, but not stopping anybody.
So we get their reports too. I know that they have increased presence as well, but I'm happy that you saw our
Yes, I mean, they
our
were-
vehicles. So
they were on.
yeah.
My understanding was he was there less than like 3 minutes.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
and
we
he ended up
backed up,
getting
sat down, and like I said,
two traffic citations, at
Kathy
least
says,
traffic
go out and
stops.
see what he's doing here, and that time the car went through, and he was gone.
Yeah. So I'm a lateral. I came from SAC PD. A lot of the guys that do this detail are laterals that might have been motor officers at other jurisdictions. So they're very keen at traffic concerns and general law enforcement too, from busy cities. Is there another question?
It slowed him down for a couple of days.
Good. Yes, ma'am.
I just have a question
around, so I called it into Placer County Sheriff's. Well, they said, no, it's Highway Patrol that has jurisdiction, so I'm just a little confused.
So any police officer in the state has jurisdiction throughout the state to make stops. When you call in our dispatch, they broadcast it out to us, no matter.
They call CHP.
They will, yeah, because they're primarily responsible for traffic within the unincorporated portions of the county. If you lived in the city of Roseville and you called, they would be the primary traffic enforcement. That doesn't mean that if we're driving through the city of Roseville and we see a traffic infraction that we can't do it. We absolutely can. The highway patrol can take general law enforcement. If they see somebody shooting somebody else, they can definitely engage with them. It's just their primary is going to traffic collisions and your concerns about traffic. Does that make sense?
Perfect.
I know it is a little bit complicated.
Deputy needs your name.
More of an observation. Now that they're
Excuse me, anyone who has a comment, just say your name first so Stephanie can write it down. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Dean Shanklin again. So, just an observation, I noticed now that they're closing down a lot of the transient camps in Sacramento, that there's been I've noticed a huge uptick right around Antelope and right in the boundaries of Placer County. Are you guys, doing anything more than your normal mitigation on that? Do you expect it to increase because of that? The camps starting to close down and then moving elsewhere?
I can't say that we expect it to increase for sure. This area is far away from services. Typically, the unhoused go to an area that's close to services, right? We have a team of homeless liaison deputies, and they will be responsive. If you have a complaint, you can submit it online at our website. You can call it in. They will triage it and get to it as they can. They have done work out here in the past. When I was a deputy, I was a POP officer for the lower portion of the county, and I would go out to some of the developing camps. There used to be one by the Dry Creek Park out here that we mitigated a few times, but we haven't seen a substantial increase. But if there's one near you, that's a substantial increase to what you experience in your life. So we're sensitive to that. Anybody else? All right. Any questions from the board?
Doing a wonderful job. Thank you.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We'll now go ahead and move on to item number 7, informational items. We'll turn the time over to Alex.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you.
Please wait for your questions and once the presentation has been made, and then we can follow up with questions to you, if that's all right, Alex.
That sounds great. Thank you, Chair Wiley. Good evening, everyone. My name is Alex Fish. I'm a principal planner with the Planning Services Division. And I'm joined this evening by Chris Dickinson with Homes by Town, Town Development of Sacramento. And Chris is going to be providing an informational presentation of the Estia Dry Creek and Placer Creek residential project. Before I turn the microphone over to Chris, I did just want to give a little bit of an overview of the county's entitlement review process to help orient the presentation. So this is our first visit to the MAC. This is one of 2 visits to the MAC. The purpose of tonight's visit is to come and provide this informational presentation early on in the process in order to receive project feedback, answer questions that you all have about the project, and also the county's entitlement review process. This project is requesting approval of a community plan amendment, a rezone, a phased vesting tentative subdivision map, and will also be subject to certification of a final environmental impact report. And so in terms of setting your expectation for next steps in the process, the next phase would be to circulate what's called a notice of preparation of an environmental impact report to solicit public feedback, comments, feedback from responsible and trustee agencies on the scope of impacts that should be evaluated in that EIR. There will be a notice of preparation scoping meeting that will happen at the county offices in Auburn at the Cedar Building that I know I've seen several of you at recently. And so our EIR consultant would be joining us there, taking those comments, recording them. Then we would enter the phase of preparing the draft EIR. During the circulation of that draft EIR, there will be a public comment hearing before the Planning Commission. And from there, we would be preparing the final EIR. Once that is done, we would then be proceeding back to the Planning Commission to present the project and the list of requested entitlements for their recommendation to the Board of Supervisors, and ultimately that would be the final stop in the public review process. So I did just kind of want to set your expectation. We're very early on here gathering information and input today. That process will probably take roughly 12 to 14 months. So with that, Chris is here to provide an informational presentation of the project. I can answer any questions on the county process after he's done. And so now I will turn over the microphone to him.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'd like to thank everybody for being here tonight. Appreciate everybody's time. My name is Chris Dickinson, and I work for Homes by Town, and we're here to discuss the Estia Dry Creek and Placer Creek residential project. Before I get into the project, I would like to just introduce our company, Homes by Town. Homes by Town is a fully integrated real estate development company and home builder. This year marks our 75th year in business. We operate in select markets throughout the United States and have been in the greater Sacramento area since the mid-90s. We've built several projects in this immediate area. A couple projects of note would be Morgan Ranch, around the corner on PFE. Directly across the street, Whispering Creek is our most recent project, and we've been involved in several others. Being a smaller builder, we bring a level of quality and attention to detail that I think some of our larger brethren in the industry don't offer. We build a really good home. But really, the primary differentiating factor between us and some of the other builders is our ownership structure. So we are owned by a nonprofit charitable trust, which means annually we give a portion of our revenues to charitable giving throughout the United States, and generally to combat poverty and promote education, and that's throughout the United States. So personally, it's a rewarding that the end result of all our efforts goes to worthy causes. So let's get into the project. So the site we're talking about is totals 88 acres, and so it is the area outlined in red and yellow, so both sides of Walerga Road. This site is located within an urbanizing transitional area. And just to note what's going on around our site, so the north side, as I'm sure you all know, is the city boundary with the city of Roseville. And then take note of Baseline Marketplace and the Costco. It's immediately opposite this site to the north. This retail project totals about 750,000 square feet, or will at build out, and by recent accounts, the Costco is imminent. And we think that'll probably be the domino effect that'll lead to full build out. Immediately west of our site is the Heritage of Placer Vineyards project. It's a 55 and older community that's well underway. They've sold a couple hundred homes. Generally, it consists of smaller lots, and the lots that are immediately adjacent to us are less than 5,000 square feet. The north section of our project, outlined in red, is immediately adjacent to the Sun Valley Oaks project to the east, or at least their northern phase. Their lots range from about a half acre to about 2/3 of an acre. So then when you skip down to the southeast side of Walerga, sorry, I don't have a pointer here, it didn't work, but there's a big open space immediately adjacent to what's outlined in yellow. That's county-owned open space, and that open space will continue on through our project. And we are proposing that to be a publicly owned parcel as well. So then keep moving south. Again, on the east side of our border is I guess what would be phase 3 of the Sun Valley Oaks community, and then you get down to what's labeled as school site. That is a vacant parcel that's owned by the Dry Creek School District and identified in their facilities plans as a potential school location. Immediately south is Morgan Creek, and those home lot sizes are about 1/2 acre. So really, with the exception of the open space parcel and the vacant school site, this site is completely surrounded by development. Okay, so currently the site is primarily consists of non-native grasses. There are a few scattered wetlands on the north, so that red outlined area on the other map. As mentioned, the southern parcel does have that riparian corridor that cuts through. Again, that area is completely avoided. We have yet to identify any special status trees that are outside of that riparian corridor, so it appears that no sensitive or special status trees will be impacted by the project. 2 previous plant surveys were done on site and also yielded no special status plants that have been observed. The project will be mitigated through the PCCP. Okay, so Alex did a good summary here. So we are proposing, and I'll go through each phase in more detail, but we're proposing a project with 4 distinct phases. Phase 1 along the north is what we call a horizontal apartment project with 220 homes. These are all single-story homes. Phases 2, 3, and 4 are more of a standard single-family lot. We have submitted an application to the county requesting the entitlements that Alex described, and we have just started that EIR process. So here I've listed, this is my best guess as to when we will reach the board, and that would be fall of 2025.
Yes, a question? On phase 2, will we have street lighting? I'm on Bridgestone Crescent Road.
Oh, we you know what, we're pretty early on.
Okay, but like it's gonna open now from what we see.
No,
She's in Sun Valley Oaks. She's in Sun Valley Oaks.
Oh, we
Sun
have,
Valley Oaks, yeah.
I don't know, Curtis, would we have streetlights?
We have no
Probably.
street lighting, but I see all these
Or is
homes
it-
now coming in.
Not internally.
What'd you say?
We won't have streetlights internal to the project.
Okay, no, not even on your lots? There's gonna be no street lighting on phase 2?
There is the dark sky ordinance that we would be compliant with, and so streetlights would be along the perimeter, so Baseline and Willarga.
Can we please let him get through his presentation? If you can bring up your questions when he's done. Thank you.
So I hope after I am done, you will see that the project achieves many of the stated goals in the various planning documents. While no project can check every box, I think we do check several big ones. And so this proposal at this location satisfies the goal of placing medium and high density residential in areas with existing services and along major thoroughfares. The proposed land uses are compatible with those surrounding existing uses and those proposed. This proposal is a logical expansion of the area by developing within this transitional infill area rather than an outlying area. And then this project, I think, after I'm done describing the SDA, it does help to diversify the housing stock that is available in the county. The SDA is pretty unique. And then the fifth is, this development will only impact the areas that are not environmentally sensitive. So additionally, I hope you'll find that we have taken care to design the project in such a way that we are being considerate of the existing uses and our neighbors. Okay, so I'll go through each phase in a little more detail. So phase one is the high-density portion of the application. This is a community type that our company is very high on. It's an apartment community that's comprised of individual, like a bungalow-style unit that is either a single freestanding or a duet bungalow home. These units are all single-story. The density is about 10 units per acre, rather than the 20 to 30 that you would see in a typical apartment complex. These homes are all 1 and 2 bedroom units, but while the units are unique, this is owned, operated, and rented like any standard apartment complex. So the low density nature of this really provides a standard of living that's not found in your typical apartment communities. So it's a high density, high amenity, or excuse me, not a high density. It's a high amenity community that'll include a clubhouse, pool, gym, on-site dog parks. There's pedestrian circulation on site and both passive and active recreation opportunities. As for the units themselves, they offer an abundance of natural light because they don't have the shared walls of a typical unit, very high ceilings. The large bedrooms all accommodate a king-size bed, and each unit does have a backyard with a built-in pet door. So as mentioned, we're very high on this product type. We have built several of these in Florida and Arizona, and we're making a push to bring this product out here to California. And where we've built these, the response has really been just phenomenal. So as they've been popular and as we've released phases, once they're done with construction, they've been met with a waiting list from the public. In terms of demographics, the homes have been extremely popular with young professionals, younger families, and then older folks. And then kind of a fun fact with the backyard and the little dog doors, about 70% of our renters have been pet owners. In terms of design, so we placed this most dense portion of the project along the north, so that's along Baseline Road. And that's opposite the Costco and the Baseline Marketplace. That main grand entrance there will be signalized. It's my best guess that Costco will install that signal well before we start. And then we'll be required to build Baseline to its ultimate configuration. So we would add that third lane, that third eastbound lane along our frontage. Just on the map there, if you're looking on the right where the Estia stops, and you can see that court, there is no proposed ingress or egress at that location. And then at the south, there is a connection to what is phase 2, but it's not proposed to be a vehicular resident every day in and out. It's proposed to be pedestrian and emergency access only. What's not depicted super clear on this map, so on the western boundary, and that would be the boundary with the heritage 55 and older community, is the abandoned Willarga Road. And so that is, that's in existence, that's owned by the Heritage HOA. But there's about 60 feet from our property boundary to the back fences of those heritage projects. So there's a built-in buffer between our site and theirs. So this next slide, I've just included a few photos and some preliminary architecture. So this is from a project in Florida. I think the bottom left photo is the best representation of what Estia is. All single story, you get a good view of the amenities out there by the pool deck. And then just moving counterclockwise, that's the clubhouse on the bottom right. That would be at the main grand entrance there. And then the top right photo is the units as they interface with some of the amenity areas. And then the top left is just our architecture, so more of a local flair and not a little more Northern California and a little less Florida. And then these are the homes themselves. So the photos are the bottom row. So left to right is just an exterior shot, and then the middle is the interior. So you can see the 10-foot ceilings, and then there's a photo of the backyard, and there they put turf, and there's a little seating area. You can see the netted patio. That's Florida because they have a bit of a bug issue over there. So this concludes the Estia portion. So moving in to phase 2. So we're still on the north side of Walerga Road. Phase 2 consists of 110 single-family lots. These have a minimum size of 55 feet wide by 120 feet deep. They range in size from 6,600 square feet to 12,391. Right now, we're proposing 2 access points off Walerga Road. On the right side of that map, you can see the dashed line. That is Springview Drive and the existing access to Sun Valley Oaks. We anticipate that we will be conditioned to, that'll be a signalized intersection that we'll have to install, and that'll solve, right now there's a line of sight issue as Walerga curves north to connect to Fitiment. The other access point is just the grand entrance there. It's a right in, right out only. Walerga will continue to be, have the median that it does. And let's see. Oh, and then on Walerga, so we anticipate that we will be conditioned along our frontage to build Walerga to its full build out. So that would be essentially the southbound. We would add that third lane of Walerga. Let's see, and then looking at the lots, so on the top right corner of our map, those are the lots that abut Sun Valley Oaks. So we've added extra depth to those lots, and so the largest lot there is about 175 feet deep. They average 150 feet. So they're quite a bit deeper than a standard lot to provide that extra buffer to our neighbors. We currently have designed a 1.3 acre park. It's at the main entrance there, at the grand entrance. It's currently, we're so early on, we haven't really designed it, but we anticipate, kind of your standard tot lot gathering area, turf area. Welcome any suggestions if there's a need that you guys see. And then this is actually a better map. Just wanted to point out again, so that connection on the left-hand side of the project between phase 2 and Estia, that is pedestrian and EVA only. No direct connection from baseline through to Walerga. Okay, so now we're jumping down to south side of Walerga, phase 3. There's 55 single-family lots. They're similar in size to the lots just described, but slightly different. So these are 60 feet wide, so a little bit wider, but only 110 feet deep. So they still have that 6,600 square foot minimum. And then our largest lot in here is 10,600. This project, since it is this phase of the project, since it's isolated, we are proposing this to be gated. And you can see the open space there that we're planning on the south side. I'll describe that in more detail. I'll circle back on that after we talk about phase 4. Okay, and then so here's phase 4. So phase 4 has 47 lots. These are the same size as phase 3, so a minimum of 60 foot wide, 110 foot deep. This is the terminus of Vineyard. So so that road that's along the open space there is Vineyard. And just want to make note, we're not proposing a connection to Willarga. That is a EVA and pedestrian only. Couple points on just the design. That single loaded road, we call it a single loaded road in the industry, where you only have homes on one side. That's by design, so the public has access to that open space and that trail system. The units along the south there, those border Morgan Creek, we've added an extra 10 feet on those, so those are 70 feet wide to provide that additional buffer. And most of those neighbors, they also side on to that parcel, so it's side of house to side of house, not backyard to side. There is a bit of a topography difference between Morgan Creek and our site, so that's just added buffer for them. They sit higher than we do, so we would impact them a little bit less than otherwise if we were on the same level. Yeah. And so now I'll circle back to the open space. And so right now, so the top right corner of that map, you can see there's a trail there. So right now there's an existing trail going through that open space that terminates at our property line. We will pick that up, connect the trail to Willarga. We are working with the PCCP right now to find out exactly what we can do in that open space. We would like to provide a pedestrian trail crossing for phases, to connect phases 3 and 4. And then we have a couple little park areas. I call them a park, but really they're just a couple areas where maybe we can have a gazebo, park bench, maybe some of the gym equipment you see to kind of piggyback off the trail system there. But we're working with PCCP on what's exactly allowed within that area. So with that, I am done. I'm here to try to answer any questions. We have our project engineer, Curtis King, here for anything technical, and try to answer any questions you may have.
Rick, do you have any questions? We'll start at the left and work to the right.
Okay. Hi, Chris. How you doing? One issue that I have with your phase 1 is, in my experience as a manager for the Postal Service and dealing with a lot of communities within our district, is that whenever you had a large cluster of duplexes, which is basically what these are, we tend to have more problems with them. There's more vandalism, there's more sheriffs having to go out there, police activity, typically because investors tend to buy them, and then they become rentals. Now in Florida, that may not be the case, but see a lot of that, duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, that's how they tend to end up because they are obviously cheaper. So that's a concern that I have with them being a big cluster like that. You have 220 homes there, that it'll look really great for the first couple of years, but as they start getting rented out, it starts changing. Something to think about. I know Roseville, City of Roseville, where I used to live, they put duplexes on corners, and they tended to blend in with the rest of the community there, and they tended to, even though some became rentals, they were well maintained. It's just when it's a big cluster, that just tends to change. And once a couple stop taking care of it, it just snowballs. The other issue that I have is we're still not following the community plan. So it's great that you're doing 6,600 square foot lots or 110 foot deep, 50 or 60 feet wide, but your community plan still says an acre. So we're not close to that. I mean, your biggest lot is sitting there at, 12,000 square feet. Considering 43,000 as an acre, we're not quite there. So a little bit of a concern. And then we're getting gated communities again. I thought we were kind of trying to wean gated communities out of here. But number 3 and number 4 are both gated communities. Little concern with that. I'm also concerned with phase 1 going on to just baseline. Is that at some point does it, I know you say that it doesn't connect to phase 2, but at some point, will it? I know that's not the plan, but plans don't always work out as we expect. So a concern. Then the other thing that you're asking for is a change from building percentage from 40 to 50% for single stories and 35 to 45% for 2 stories. I don't know why you need to change that. I mean, obviously you're trying to put either a larger house on a smaller lot or the same size lot, but a bigger house so you can sell it for more. Not really sure, but what's wrong with leaving the percentages the way it's supposed to be? As was brought up in our earlier with comments from the public, is that we got 2,000 new homes coming in this area, this 1.5 square mile area. We have 4,000 residents in this area now. We're increasing that by 50%, and we're trying to change everything with regards to our community plan. We know we got an issue at the school. School is supposed to have 900 students. We're looking at having 1,800 students. School can't handle it. One of the meetings we were at, one of the speakers said, well, I don't remember exactly where I read it, but they said they only needed 5 more classrooms to accommodate the growth. That's not going to happen. So individual projects, as was brought up, is a concern, because if we look at them individually, we're missing the big picture as to what really the impact is for the entire community when you start adding the 9 different projects that are going on right now. So a concern with that I think we really need to take a look at cumulatively what impact is it happening in this 1.5 square mile. And I only use 1.5 square miles because this one's on the outskirts. If you look at the other 8 projects, it's a 1 square mile area. So this one's a little bit further out, but still everything on this side of Willard really impacts this little Dry Creek 1 acre or 1 square mile area. Other than that, that's really the concerns that I have with this project. And at this point, the last project we heard too, so thank you.
Deb McSherry. I was wondering what the setback was going to be off of baseline for your phase 1. How far away from baseline are you going to have a wall? Are you going to have a berm? I was wondering what that might be. Do you know?
We don't know yet. We've just initiated our noise study
Okay.
just within the last few weeks.
And what is the reason you're not going to connect phase 1 and phase 2?
We thought that would be a benefit to the Sun Valley Oaks folks to only have pedestrian access. And with what's going on at Baseline Marketplace and with the Costco, just having that traffic cutting through, we think that would be a detriment to the community.
Okay.
Can I address a couple of the points that were made?
Sure.
Rick, sorry, I thought I was waiting till the end. So your first point about these being duplexes, these aren't duplexes. So we're going to be the long-term owner. This is an apartment community. So instead of having clusters of 20 units that are owned and operated by one entity, these are just individual little homes. So we have 220 units. We will own them. We will manage them. We will operate them. You discussed the community plan. I get we're not proposing a 1 or 2 acre parcel here. I think this is, as mentioned, this is an area of transition. I mean, having 1 or 2 acre lots directly across from Costco, I mean, I know I'm a real estate guy, but that's somewhat unconscionable. You had mentioned gated communities. We have two communities who are pretty isolated. They would be gated. We would allow for pedestrian access through those to get to those open spaces and those public areas. The coverage, we actually pulled that from the description, so there is, I think there's an existing exemption, at least we don't need that coverage anymore because of the lot size. I would just add though, I mean, we've at Whispering Creek, we did ask for a variance to the coverage, and the reason we did that was to get larger single-story homes on those as opposed to 2 stories. So we were trying to fit a product type that the public wanted to see. And so the problem with the way, and I don't know if this has changed, but the coverage is calculated is it's not just the home itself, it's the loggia. It's a lot bigger than just the 2,000 or 2,500 square foot home. And so those coverages become detrimental, and then they force the builders to go vertical multi-story. You mentioned the school also. One thing I failed to mention was, so phases 1 and 2 are in Center Unified School District. So they do not have any capacity issues. Phases 3 and 4 are in Dry Creek, and obviously our EIR will speak to what's needed. We'll let the school tell us what we need to do, but I think at the end of the day, I mean, I've read the facilities plan. They have several options that they can expand this current facility. They can adjust their school boundaries. They can build a school for which they have a piece of dirt right next to our site here. All those options are on the table. You know, every time we pull a building permit, we pay tens of thousands of dollars to the school district. So we do pay our own way with every building permit that's pulled.
I was just going to comment on the gates. I know the gates are open from sunrise to sunset for the whole community to go through,
Right.
which is great. So I have gated communities, to me, are not a problem, as I live in one. Also, the kids that live in phase 3, there's no trail that's kind of on, that I can see where they could walk from phase 3 like to a school that was actually in our area.
Yeah, so, well, we are proposing a trail right now. We don't know, if you look right behind you, you can, it's not actually, you know what, there's probably,
in front of me too.
there's probably a better, okay, you can see the trail crossing better on this map. We don't know if we're going to be able to do that or not yet. So there's implications with the Placer County Conservation Plan on whether they're going to allow that type of access through the area. So we're still vetting that. Yeah, unfortunately, that area is somewhat cordoned off. You can, you can hop out on Willarga, go south to the major connection right through the major trail system there along Dry Creek and get to the school that way, but it is definitely not.
Yeah, I don't want kids out on Willarga.
Not ideal.
No.
I agree.
But thank you. Those were
Yeah.
my questions.
Patrick?
I have a couple of questions. On the phase 1, is there any garages or is it street parking? And I don't know how wide the streets are, but with that many concentrated homes, traffic could be a total nightmare.
So, yeah, so with your standard apartment complex, there'll be the paddocks of garages. So we would have, there are 8 slots at a time. Otherwise, it's parked just like an apartment complex would be. So this, being an apartment, this is essentially a gated community, right? You're gonna have that grand entrance. There's gonna be gates on either side of it. It's a higher end apartment complex. So then it would be parked similar along the internal circulation.
So will there also be street parking or?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I just have an overall comment that it just seems like you're asking for a lot of variances, setbacks and densities, and it's almost like we're going to do what we want to do, and we'll just get variances and changes to make this happen. And I mean, the lots at 6,600 is a relatively large lots today, but it's a long ways from 43,560
Understood.
square feet.
Understood.
I mean, it's 1/7 of that.
Right.
And on the open space, is there anything that you guys are thinking of doing to improve it, enhance it, or are you just going to wash your hands of it, so to speak?
No, so the map that's up right now, you can see there's a little area that's identified within the kind of, can I come up there and just point? Is that okay?
Right.
Yeah. So there's a couple areas. So we have some locations for, like I was saying, maybe a gazebo, seating area, possibly some of the, right along the trail there, there's a location for maybe an active recreation, the exercise equipment or what have you.
But is there any thought of enhancing that as a natural area as opposed to just not getting into the environmental difficulties?
Oh, no, we're not allowed to enhance it.
I would be willing to bet if you talked to the Corps and spent some time with them, you might be able to do something like that.
I'll take it back to the group and vet that out.
Okay. And again, the last one is that I hope the EIR looks at the cumulative impacts for schools and roads. I mean, you've heard this before. Somebody needs to finally step up. And I think this one is big enough and dense enough that you need to prove that there isn't a cumulative impact.
Understood. Understood.
Are you going to have an HOA?
Yes, I right now, I don't think there's any way around it, yeah.
For all okay, thank you.
Yes.
Have you petitioned the Sun Valley Oaks residents?
Not yet, no.
What's the requirement on that, Alex, for the notice?
So for a project such as this, we follow, just state law, and that means that we will have to provide mailed legal notice to every property owner that is within 300 feet of the exterior boundaries, but also we will have to provide notice in newspapers of general circulation, so that tends to be the Sacramento Bee for our notices. And then, of course, I believe there are 3 development proposal pending signs that are also already erected for the project. I need to go view those tonight and make sure they have the correct information on them.
And those were posted, those signs for development were posted by the petitioner when?
When was that?
Early June, maybe late June? Late June?
Yeah, I think what the issue was is that because of the location of one, I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Yeah, I've heard
So
that.
then,
I've heard
and then also their phone number was incorrect. I know that you just add a 0 and all of that stuff, but is that based on that date that you set the sign or when you made the corrections to the signs? Because both of them were the same way.
The requirement in the county code, thank you, Chair Wiley. The requirement in the county code is those signs have to be posted for at least 60 days prior to any planning commission hearing. So that they're up early right now is just, we're doing our due diligence to make sure that we're getting notification out to folks as early as possible. In the process, we do like them to go up right away, and that is also in the code. I think it's within 30 or 60 days, the application, those signs are required to go up. To address your question.
So those have been posted within that period of time?
They
is my question.
The hard answer is must be posted at least 60 days prior to a hearing. There are instances where I know that some projects have not posted right away, but we have to have them up for at least 60 days before any hearings are conducted. And so we're well out in front of that. There won't be any hearings on this project for several months.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Also, there are people that are living in these existing communities, Placer Vineyards, active adult community, and then also in the Sun Valley Oaks, as well as Morgan Creek, and then off of Vineyards, etc., that this is going to impact. Can the community count on being able to meet with staff and with the petitioner in not a MAC meeting, but to iron out some of these things possibly that the community, an existing community, is having issues with?
Yes, and I'm always available to meet with anyone. Anybody can reach out to me. Can't speak for Chris, obviously, but anyone that wants to reach out to me and has questions or concerns or issues that they want to discuss, I'm happy to meet with them anytime.
And I think that's been the disconnect recently for this community is that they don't have the ability, or they didn't take the opportunity to reach out to county staff. So I would encourage all of you to do so as best you can in written, and then also to each individual supervisor. But I'm not here to give, that kind of information. But I do have a concern about the parking. So recently, kind of a little side story, sorry about that. I was down at Baseline in Maine. There's some new, if you drive through there, you may be familiar with it. There's 2-story residence there, and I happened to just drive back in there to take a look at it, and every one of those driveways had 2 cars in it. And this is that is the concern that we have in this area, is the traffic is just, for some people maybe it's nothing, but for us it's a huge deal, and it's not safe. You're rebuilding this whole area, so this would have to meet those standards, of course, but the impact on the existing community is some of the concerns that we would have. So I would have, and in particular, the Vineyards, which I don't see it connecting through Vineyard Road, so that's a good thing. It just comes up to the proposed school, correct?
No, Vineyard, it just doesn't connect to Walerga. That far left court that's Walerga to the left of that court on that map.
The point being is that where the school site is, that's where Vineyards would terminate. It will not connect through.
It would not connect through to Walerga, but it would continue into phase 4.
Yeah, for access. But
Correct.
So I guess the concern is that, and that's a gated community.
We're
right?
currently proposing it as
That's
gated, yes.
proposed gated,
Yes.
correct?
Can you show that part on the map where it does connect to Vineyard?
So I think one of the issues is the concentration of people on Baseline, and the one entrance, egress and egress from that location, and then also what's the buffer, what are they planning on doing? So when we have discussed things in the past with petitioners, and their proposal is maybe we'll be able to connect this through, or maybe we won't, but these projects are moving forward now, and we still are wondering if there's going to be a pedestrian bridge to connect from Creekview over to the school for the children so they don't go around. And the answers to these things, there's still going to be an impact on that existing community is the concern that I have. So I would hope that you reach out to them, even if it's, what was it, 300 feet?
Well, so I can tell you, I've on the Lennar project, the 55 and older. So I reached out through Lennar. I have spoken to their HOA, one of their HOA board members, and I do intend to meet at one of their HOA meetings. I just recently got the contact information for one of the HOA board members for Sun Valley Oaks, and that was through the the HOA management company. So actually, if anybody's here who knows somebody at Morgan Creek, I would appreciate that contact information. There you go.
So at this point, I think that's about all the concerns that I have,
Okay.
other than it's a large concentration of residents in this community, and we would like to see something larger lots. I know it may not be profitable, but I would really encourage you to move in that direction, because I know that it's marketable, and it's obvious by the developments that are coming in. So I'd appreciate you to concern that, take it into consideration.
Okay, understood.
We'll now go ahead and open up to the public for questions. Come on up.
Hello, Tammy Reedman. My question is about Vineyard. Okay, you say it's closed there, but are you going to open Phase 4 to go out Vineyard Road?
Yes, that's the.
So you're putting more freaking traffic on that 2-lane dangerous-ass road. You know that that's dangerous. 4 fatalities. You're going to put kids walking up Vineyard. They're going to die. You need to find a different method. That is dangerous. You don't need to put those people out on the Vineyard. Got to find a different way. Get those kids to school a different way, and that traffic should not be filtered on the Vineyard. We are a country road with no border, no sidewalk. There is a ditch. Those kids will ride in the middle of the road and die. I did this during the rezone, and I got to tell you, they are not safe. There's country homes that border that. There's no sidewalk. So if you can't figure out a way to get kids to school from there, that's danger. You're just liable for killing children. You know that. And then you're just putting more houses on that road that drive 99 miles an hour. They did a study, 99 miles an hour. That's how fast those people drive on that road. Danger, okay? So I just want to tell you that. That's not okay.
Did you want to say anything?
Let's skip that. When my neighbor behind me wanted a variance to put his solar closer to my property line, it required my permission for him to get that variance. Are the rules different for developers? You're asking for variances on many people's property lines. Are we going to get all their permission before we do that variance, or are the rules different for developers?
I'm unaware of a variance that would require.
I think that one's for me. Thank you, Mr. Reedman. In terms of our process, the determinations on the grant of entitlement approvals is, while influenced certainly, I think, by the public process and the inputs into that public process, the decision makers, the hearing body makes an independent decision, but with consideration of those inputs.
Okay, and then my next question is, you're asking us to tolerate the little apartment community you have there, but now your words, it's a high-end apartment complex. So not only do we have to tolerate an apartment complex, we still got to figure out where else you're going to put the affordable housing that they're going to try and build in front of my house. So you're asking us to tolerate an apartment complex, and you're telling me it's high-end. What percentage of that is affordable?
So the Phase 1 is actually exempt under Placer County Code due to
There you go.
to the unit size.
That's all I got to say, guys.
Okay, yeah, a couple things right there. We're Vineyard. Oh, Diane.
What's your last name?
DiMattia. I operate a nonprofit, eco-sustainability nonprofit in our neighborhood. I'm
I understand you guys want to put a high end again. My understanding from July was that we needed the low-income, high-density housing. So I'm not quite sure why we're entertaining high-end housing. You know, it seems a little silly. But if they can afford a high-end apartment, then they can afford a family lot of 7,000. You know, I mean, come on. Because I know those apartments are probably going to run, well, I don't know, what are they going to run? What are you going to sell them for? Curious.
Rent them.
Oh, they're going to be rentals?
They're apartments.
Oh, okay, so you won't be able to buy them. All right. And what's the rent going to start at?
It's pretty early. I would venture to guess 21 to 2,200 for a one-bedroom and 2,600 for a two-bedroom.
Wow. I run a nonprofit. My 2 bedrooms is going for 2,000.
Okay.
Just saying, it can be done. It needs a little creativity, though. I wanted to ask the board here if we could, I don't know if we can hold off and how long, but the nonprofit's going to be looking into creating a historical neighborhood and try and get Dry Creek deemed a historical neighborhood. And I'm hoping and asking, you know, a favor from the board, if we could be given enough extension, and with the nonprofit, if there's any funds that can be given to the nonprofit to seek out a historical neighborhood for Dry Creek. I think it could be fantabulous for Roseville to expand the history of Dry Creek in Roseville, to create, I know Winton is looking at for a lot. What happens if the nonprofit, if Placer County can come up with an agreement with a nonprofit? Well, where we can create like a farmer's market, a co-op of that neighborhood where everybody in Roseville could enjoy coming to a country market where homegrown organic food is not just grown right there on these big lots, but from all the homesteads. We create a co-op, we create a trust fund that we start building. Oh, I'm coming up. Anyway.
That's 2 minutes.
So
Yep.
that's my big deal is Vineyard. I live right there, and that's going to be horrible. We just had, 3 boys, 21-year-olds die last year or something like that, and it is a dangerous road, but I think we could do something better with this
Thank
land
you.
to benefit.
Thank you. Alex, do you have an answer to where would they petition something like that?
It's an interesting question. I'd have to look into it. We do have a design historic combining zoning designation. It typically, you know, in areas of the county that it does apply are you know, right now limited to the town of Forest Hill, which is an old gold mining, gold rush era town, and also Dutch Flat and maybe parts of Alta. And so I don't know. I would need to look into that.
Thank
If
you.
that was an option, yeah.
Dean Shanklin. I'm not for a food co-op at Wintoon because it would just bring more traffic into our area, which I'm trying to oppose. Although we could have it in a lot of different areas, I wouldn't want it there. So if phase 1 isn't going to be part of the RENA, part of the high density, low income, or medium to low income, where is your project going to put that in to comply with the 10% rule?
So phases 2, 3, and 4 would have to comply with the ordinance. We are currently vetting an option to, we own another 4-acre site. We are considering proposing to a deed in lieu of providing the affordable, of donating that to the county in fee simple so they could put affordable on that site.
Is that like density transfer? Is that what that is?
No, it's just a land in lieu. So
Where would that
we
be?
give them something of value, and then
Okay.
the county's collecting a fee with each home permit, and it's at the corner of PFE and Watt Avenue.
All right, so this is my time, so I better get going on
Sorry,
this.
sorry.
So you said Homes by Town will manage the apartment homes.
Yes.
I think that's only true until it comes to a time when you decide not to manage them any longer and you guys to sell it off. At Whispering Creek, you had trouble selling the last house. It was facing Cook Riolo, and your builder decided to build a fence 5 feet inside the metal fencing that was supposed to be open just in order to sell that house, which looks horrible and ruined the aesthetics right there on that frontage street. So I really have little faith in what your company is willing to do in order to sell houses. That's not a good precedence to set. I'm also totally opposed to have Phase 4 connect to Vineyard because, as everybody knows here on the MAC and at the Placer County, we've been fighting to keep the properties from having traffic on Vineyard, and this is going to do exactly that for Phase 4. So I'm totally opposed to that, and I'll fight you every step of the way. Thank you.
My name is Mark Silva. Mr. Wiley, thank you for always having our community's best interests at heart during these MAC meetings, unlike some of our representatives at the county level. Deb, great to see you. I would just encourage the MAC, if possible, to make sure to hold them accountable, specifically during the traffic studies, not just on Vineyard, but on Crowder Lane. There's a project that was forced through by the Board of Supervisors where the traffic studies were done during the height of COVID when nobody was driving around. And they were able to shove it through. They didn't even have to do an EIR. So when they do their traffic study, specifically on Crowder Road, please make sure that the numbers for that project that has already been approved but it hasn't been broken ground on yet, please make sure that those numbers are included in that traffic study. Thank you.
I encourage you to contact the county and write them a letter, Mr. Silva.
Thank you.
All right, back again. Laura Bullard, a couple things. Interesting concepts or whatever that you've got, but one of the things that I wanted to mention was we just met yesterday with the school district, this school district, okay? And of course, you're also going to be dealing, of course, with the Roseville Joint Union High School District, which I worked for 34 years, so make sure you talk to them. And then, of course, Center, one of the interesting issues with Center is that apparently there's a lot of homes that are in the Center district that are on the north side of Baseline, that the real estate people keep telling those people that they can get into the Roseville schools, and then they find out they can't. So make sure that, you know, they're honest with that. But what Dry Creek District told us yesterday is that they're not planning to build any school down there. So either you're going to need to go in and build it yourself, because they said they don't have the money to do that, and then it's going to create expansion of this particular campus or sending the kids down, you know, those roads. Okay, so again, down Vineyard and everything, so additional traffic. So that is a problem as far as that goes. Another interesting concept is when you're talking about like the open space. I mean, I'm loving it, or whatever. I used to ride my horse across that property, but I'm hoping there's some parking for me to get there, because I went to find your sign and it said no parking, and I had to park there anyway. And then I had to walk down a trail to find that sucker, and then that's when we found out there was not a correct phone number or whatever on it. But anyway, so again, love open space or whatever, but make sure I have a way to get there, because I'm not going to be able to ride my horse anymore down those roads, because we'll both die. Could be a problem. And then thank you also for not connecting the one to a Vineyard or whatever, because we would really rather not that happen, and especially the other people on Crowder, that's going to create a problem. So find another way for it to go. And then lastly, this whole issue of like having HOAs and stuff, that just adds to my cost as being a homeowner. And obviously when the property, if I was just to go out and buy an acre from, you guys or whatever and build a house, I'm going to be able to build it a heck of a lot cheaper than you're going to be able to build it. And then if I don't have to pay a HOA fee, I mean, that just adds to my cost. So I am concerned about that affordability issue. So anyway, thank you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Laura Trout. Okay, you mentioned you're paying tens of thousands of dollars in school fees. You've got hundreds of units from what I count. Just in comparison, I just built a house about a year ago. I paid almost $2,000 one unit, one house. You're not paying nothing. And there's not going to be any kids in that house. We're all in our 60s, maybe 40s, but there's no kids there. But I paid my school fees. You're not going to be paying your share. And Laura's right. They're not building over there. Those kids are going to have to go somewhere. So, point 2, infrastructure. We have no curbs, no gutters, no bike lanes, no sidewalks, no streetlights. We have ditches, we have culverts, we have grasses growing up through those ditches so they look like they're level compared to some of the level ground that's in front of some houses that doesn't exist in front of others. Others have bricks, rocks, dirt, sand, gravel. I've fished everything from glass to feces out of the ditches that I now have to maintain because the county doesn't do it anymore. I'd love to know what you're going to do that in front, not just in front of your area where you're going to sell it and you're going to make the money, but those kids have to go somewhere. All those people, all those kids, and all those bedrooms, and all those houses, and all those phases in that community are going to go to our schools. You're not paying your fair share when you simply want to say, not our problem. We get accused all the time for saying we don't want low income in our community. And what we didn't want, because they were talking about 2 or 3 story apartment complexes, we didn't want 2 or 3 story $1 million apartments in our community. It doesn't fit our community plan. I'd like you to go back. I don't know if you've read our community plan. Please do review it and consider it, because you're not meeting a lot of the areas. Where I am on Baseline, my part of Dry Creek, it's 1 house per acre. Behind me, I think all the way to PFE, it's 1 house for 2 acres. You meet that community plan, we'll all be standing here throwing rose petals at your feet.
Thank you.
But as far as I'm concerned, you're the sacrificial lamb. I bring it up every time one of you guys show up. You're a sacrificial lamb, and we intend to be here and fight you every step of the way. It's our community. I've been here for 70 years. These people have been here, some of them even longer. We deserve to be represented. They're trying, but you guys come in and buy out everybody else's project in somebody else's district so that yours gets funded somewhere else, and the developers just keep protecting themselves in alternate community
Thank you.
supervisors' districts. Please, get it together and be fair to us. We were here first. We do own the land. And I'm sorry, you can buy it from us as we die off. But I'll put my land in a goddamn trust before I'll let somebody buy it from me to do what you're doing to this community. And I'm sorry.
Susan Yamagita. Mr. Dickinson, welcome to Dry Creek. Okay, phase 1, you said Costco's going across the way. Great, because if you've been to the Roseville Costco, hallelujah. I just went to the one in Loomis. Go there. You know what's across from them? Open land. So phase 1, there can be 1 acre lots across from Costco. They will sell because land over here sells. What I'd like to know is, what's your alternate plan?
We do not have an alternate plan.
Okay, so my challenge to you is to create an opportunity where you will be welcomed. Come back to us with an alternate plan, something with more space between homes, something that fits our rural agricultural lifestyle. Yes, there are homes in Morgan Creek. That was kind of a little shady thing that went through. Sorry, folks that live in Morgan Creek. I grew up here. Other lots and other properties, I don't fault people for wanting to sell and move out and retire. Their kids don't want to farm. What I do want to make sure is that we're adhering to what our community plan is. We're rural agriculture. Come and visit our properties that have horses and cows and pigs and chickens and goats and sheep and cats and dogs and feral cats and skunks. Don't forget the skunks that will be on your property. And possums, everything, our riparians, the turkeys in my backyard that my corgis bark at. Please.
In case this goes through.
Please come up and, thank you. That's all right.
Hi, my name is Paula Atwell, and I'm at Sunny Valley Oaks. So what I want to know is there going to be a wall between phase 1 and phase 2, and how tall will this wall be in case this all goes through?
Yeah, we would put a wall.
And there's going to be no way coming in and out from phase 1 to phase 2?
Well, there's pedestrian access and then
So-
emergency vehicle access, yes.
Okay, so they can walk it through. And how tall will this wall be?
Generally, they're 6 feet.
6 feet? Okay.
What about between,
State,
I'm her husband.
Yeah.
Your
I have a
name?
question, you know.
State your name, please.
Huh?
Name?
Harnick Atwell.
Thank you.
I live on Bridgestone Crescent Road. I'm on the second house on the left. What kind of wall's gonna be there?
We haven't designed that yet. I would anticipate, I mean, there would at least be a good neighbor fence there.
Mhm. Is there gonna be access to the Spring Hill and Brook, whatever the street is in the end?
Yes.
So where the park is right now, on this
Yes.
side of Allegra, where on that same, will that be called Bridge Street, Crescent Road? Which is the same street?
Oh, yeah, it
we
would,
live
it
on.
would probably, yeah, your
Right, and
name
you're
would
saying there's gonna
continue.
be no lights there?
Yeah,
Street
there's a dark sky ordinance that we will have to comply with.
Well, thank you for your public comments on this. I do appreciate it. Thank you for your presentation. I hope you take these suggestions into consideration along the way. We've been inundated with a lot of projects, and we have great concerns over the safety of our children and those that live in this existing community. So please take it to heart. They
Understood.
don't have but 2 minutes, so might be a little harsh sometimes. It really raises your blood pressure too when you
Hey,
have just 2 minutes.
on this
but-
side of the table too, you know.
We'll now move on to number 8, I believe. At this point, I think, the reports from local government, District 1 Supervisor, countywide, and District 1 update. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Appreciate you all being here this evening and appreciate all your questions. I wanted to give a couple of updates. There was a question about in lieu fees in the study, so our board has directed our staff to take a look at in lieu fees. It's not going to happen right away. It's a process and a study, but we've asked them to do that. We don't have a timeline, but know that it's something the entire board has asked for, so it's on its way. Homeless liaison. So the deputy was here and people were mentioning their concern about additional homeless in the Dry Creek area. And so we had heard that. We have let the homeless liaison team know. I think we've spoken with them. And so if you see something, actually I had heard that there were campers parked over at Dry Creek, so I drove over there prior to this meeting and I didn't see campers over at Dry Creek. But if you see something, you can call us, let us know, and we're happy to reach out to our deputies who serve on that team so that they can work with those folks appropriately. So we appreciate you giving us the heads up, because We know it's a concern and it's an issue that we're working really hard on to address. And then speaking of homelessness, we did this last Christmas, but we did a homeless supply drive because we do have nonprofits that serve the homeless in our community, particularly in Roseville. And so on Wednesday, September 4th from 4 to 7, we're having a drop-off. And if you would like to participate in some way by providing cleaning products, towels, washcloths, hygiene products. We'll be sending this out via email coming up. You're welcome to drop by items to my district office in Roseville, and we will share those with the Gathering Inn and a couple of other nonprofits. And with that, I don't think I have any other updates other than I don't know who you all who has kids here at this school, but I do have to just say thanks to the deputies, and apparently this school did an amazing job. Like, they were prepared. And the deputy did say they're going to meet with the school board coming up just to debrief about what happened, because they said the school did an excellent job of addressing what was happening. So in these unfortunate times, we're fortunate to have really good law enforcement that works really well with our schools. All right, with that, I think that's it for me this evening. Thank you, Walt. Yes, you have a question, and let me just hand you the microphone so you can be heard.
Laura Trout, I want to go back to your comment that you were going to do something, I'm sorry, brain tumor. You were going to do something about swapping land for the low-income housing and not build anything in this whole development. And I thought, if I got it right, you said you're going to donate some land that's out at like Watt and Riego or Baseline or something? Watt.
Down by the old center school.
Okay, I'm not sure I'm familiar.
Cemetery, old center school.
Okay, my question is, what kind of services are those people going to have? If you're in a low-income area and you have modest means, they need services, they don't need land, they don't need dirt.
And so that's a proposal that has to be vetted through the county. So if that happens, it has to be completely vetted. So it's, at this point, not a done deal, right, in the entire entitlement process. All right.
Thank you, Supervisor Gore.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Rick, do you have any closing comments? You good?
I'm good.
I appreciate you all coming tonight. I was, you know, the internet is just a crazy thing. And so is email. And I get all this stuff from Placer County and jobs and all of the wonderful opportunities that we have in Placer County. And I appreciate being able to reach out for the time that's taken on these. I don't necessarily appreciate the outcome, but we're going to move forward. One of the things that I noticed recently was, and I meant to talk to Landon about this beforehand, but with Supervisor Jones has a committee to get together for the traffic situation. And what I would encourage you to do is reach out to Supervisor Gore's office and to the staff and ask to set up a committee so you can either find more comfort in what the plans are or at least know that they're thinking about it. I think it's really important to keep the children safe and to and our livestock as well. So, and I appreciate your existing community. Keep working for it. And I think that's all I have. We'll go ahead and adjourn. The next, I put away my agenda. It's September 18th. Same location. Look forward to seeing you here.